Hi, welcome back to Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and this is the 2013 Lexus ES 300H. And this is the real video, the real review, where we give you all the details that you need to know about this full-size luxury sedan with all the options like the ultimate luxury package, which has some pretty cool features. We're going to tell you about it, so let's jump in, hit the road, and get going. Hi, so welcome back. We are in the 2013 Lexus ES 300H. This is the hybrid, as I mentioned in the opening, and it is a pretty interesting vehicle because really, when you look at the model lines, it's hard to figure out where the Lexus vehicles fit together. And even I had trouble with this because honestly, in my mind, just as a consumer, I think of the ES as above the GS sedans that we've tested on our YouTube page. But actually, this hybrid comes in a lot cheaper than the GS 450H that we've tested previously. So we are going to give you all the details you need to know about this car and give you some ideas about what the differences are between the model lines that we've showed you so far over the 2013 model year. So let's take a look. All right, so what we're really talking about in this car is about a $48,000 car as it is tested. And we're out on the highway here, and so, it's actually fairly quiet for a Lexus vehicle. Not as quiet, I don't think, as some of the upper ends like the LS series, but I do think that it gives decent road noise dampening, wind noise dampening. The most of what we're getting out here on the highway at about 60, 65 miles an hour is road noise. And we're driving on concrete highway, which is going to be your loudest. When you're out on the macadam and blacktop, it'll really quiet down. The thing about this hybrid is that you do have the 4-cylinder Lexus engine along with the Lexus hybrid drive system. And what you're going to basically see here is about 39 and 40 miles per gallon, and that's pretty good for a large four-door sedan. And the ES is good size. In fact, I noticed that I have a lot of legroom, even being 6 foot. It has the away feature in this vehicle because it has the memory seats and the ultimate luxury package. And what I'll tell you is that when it slides back to let me out of the car, I can barely even reach out and press the start button, which is part of the intelligent key. Some other features that I think the hybrid really gives you then is a lot of extended range. We've gone over 235 miles, and we haven't even hit half a tank yet. And that includes in-town and highway driving from Denver to Fort Collins and back again, which was, a good 120 miles of that drive there. The thing I can tell you is that the steering on this car is really interesting to me because it feels less weighted than the GS that we've driven, and it doesn't feel quite as precise. Out on the freeway, I find that I'm fighting to keep it in the lane steady, especially in wind. It seems to wander more. And so it makes me wonder if this ES has less of a refreshed front end and suspension setup than some of the other Lexus models, because the GS, I really liked the way it drove out on the highway and in town. And, so when you're looking at the ES, that brings us to the price. This one's about $48,000. If you go back to the 2013 GS 450H that we have on our website, on our YouTube channel, what you'll see is that car was closer to $68,000. So there's a significant difference there, and not really in the size of the vehicle, but more in the styling and the touches and the luxury features that you're going to get. This ES, even though it has the ultimate luxury package, still doesn't have all of the features like the multi-way seat with the middle of the seat that moved in the GS. This has the power bolster that comes under your legs, but not all the other really cool back features that you find in the new redesigned GS. Now, the ES does have a lot of the family features, especially from the outside. You have the spindle grille or the hourglass grille, depending on who you are, but Lexus says spindle. You see that same treatment in the gauge cluster, and indeed the gauge cluster is pretty much identical to the other Lexus models you've driven, especially the GS. It has that very similar look. The dashboard is not as refined in this ES, I don't think, because what you have here, and I'm not sure how well you can really see this, but you have a cup holder here which kind of blocks the controls of the vented and heated front seats for the passenger, and these controls here for the rear sunshade and all of that. You have one here and then one back here staggered behind the shifter. And so it's a little interesting because in all the other redesigned Lexuses, they are normally right next to each other, either right here, right behind the shifter, or up in front somehow paired right next to each other. So it feels like the ES still hasn't gone quite through as significant a redesign as other vehicles in the Lexus family. All that said, is it good or bad? Well, let's have a chat about that. The ES really, to me, represents a middle-of-the-road car for people. It is a big, fairly comfortable, well-optioned vehicle. At $48,000, you're getting memory seats on both sides, heated and ventilated seats, full navigation, satellite radio. You've got a good sound system in this car as well with the Dolby Digital, and you have grace notes and all of that. You have, really, really good miles per gallon or fuel economy in this car. So if you're driving in town and out on the freeway, you're really 1 mile per gallon off or so. And that means you're getting close to 40 miles per gallon even in the combined rating. And that's pretty good for a $48,000 car that has the luxury cachet. You have the wood-wrapped wheel, the heated steering wheel, the rear sunshades. Because it has the ultimate luxury package, you have the pull-up sunshades in the back seat. I guess what I'm saying is that it may not be as flashy as a GS, but the frugal buyer that really just wants a car that feels comfortable and has that luxury cachet might actually prefer this ES, because you pretty much have a very similar hybrid system. Interesting, huh? Now, what about the looks and all of that? Well, actually, the ES has gotten better looking over the years. You might remember the commercials where the ES was sitting out in front of Bilbao, Spain, in front of the Modern Art Museum. And that car was okay from the outside. It actually had a nice look. But inside, frankly, I always found it was terrible. Big switches, and they were kind of up here, and it felt frumpy. This car really doesn't. It feels refined, although I really wish the bamboo wheel they put in this one was the same as the bamboo wheel they put in the 450h. But I'll tell you something, that probably has something to do with the almost $20,000 price difference between the two. That unfinished raw bamboo in that GS it's something everybody I know that has ever experienced it talks about. But I tell you what, we'll take this polished bamboo any day because it has a nice, subtle look and it's still sustainable and renewable. So we like that in this car. I was trying to think if there were any nits that we really should tell you. And other than the steering, which I wish was a little heavier and crisper, this car, even for a 4-cylinder with the hybrid attachment, if you will, has great power, cruises out on the Colorado freeways here at 80 miles an hour or so, and it feels great. It's got the modes in the dash, so you can see all the different information, including distance to empty and all of that. You've got your modes here on the console that are fairly easy to reach, even though I kind of find that I rest my hand on the shifter here to get to the Eco, the Normal, and the Sport. You have a full EV mode right here also, and it's nice that they include the traction control cancel right here as well. It does have auto high beams in this car, and an odd option that's almost $1,000 option, I think it's like 800 and some, is the power trunk opener and closer. Interesting option that's not included in the Ultimate Luxury package, which is a little odd in and of itself, but it is a nice feature when you're pulling up and you want to open the trunk remotely and have it close. And it gives you that little bit of luxury cachet, I guess. Of course, we have a full sunroof in this car, and an interesting point to note about Lexus that we found out when we were out doing our IS drive, and check that out, that real first impression of the IS family that's been redesigned on our YouTube, is that Lexuses all come with sunroofs. You cannot get a Lexus without a sunroof. They're 100% sunroof sold in the United States. Learn something every day. I know I do. So, bottom line on this ES is that it's got good trunk room for a hybrid. You can't fold the seats down though, and there are no pass-throughs, so you do have to keep that into consideration. But it holds a good amount, and it does come, at least with this option group, with the nice little net that holds things so they don't roll around the trunk. You've got comfortable seats, although not as heavily bolstered or adjustable as some of the other Lexus family, but you might not even notice it unless you went and cross-compared the two cars. So all in all, it's a really good value for the money, considering that this is only about $8,000 off MSRP of a fully loaded Charger RT Max all-wheel drive. And we've tested one of those too. So, in the end, Lexus is still doing what they do best, which is giving people luxury, economy, and a great long-lasting car. So that's the real video, the real review on the 2013 Lexus ES 300h. This car comes in right about $48,000 as tested, which is about $20,000 less than the GS 450h that we've tested here at Real Auto Reports. Now, what is different about it? Well, it's not all that different in size, but it doesn't have as many as the luxury features as the 450h. However, I would contend that for those that are looking for value in their luxury car, want good fuel economy right up about 40 miles per gallon, and good power out on the freeway and in town, this ES 300h has a lot to offer the buyer, especially being in that $48,000 price tag, which is not far off a Charger RT Max all-wheel drive from Dodge, or something like a Taurus with a lot of the options on it. You know, you're going to be up in that $40,000 range with any of those cars, and indeed you can even max the Ford Taurus out up into the upper 40s as well. So Lexus is giving you a lot of value, the cachet of owning a Lexus, and some pretty cool options like, let's say the ultimate luxury package with all those blinds in the back to keep your passengers cool, heated and cooled or ventilated front seats, and the power trunk opener and closer that is an additional option. I think they've done a great job packing value into this car, and well, maybe it needs some work on the steering aspects of it and that type of suspension, but we think they'll do some more work to this car in the future, as it's got the spindle grille, but it doesn't have a lot of the other interior refreshes that we've seen, like the big navigation screen. It has the smaller navigation screen, which tells us there's more to come in this car. For Real Auto Reports, I'm Jonathan McGrew. Make sure you come and check out our YouTube often. We'll see you down the road. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, this is a great value.